Happy Friday. It's a beautiful day today, which is a nice treat for February. Go ahead and make your way into a comfortable seat. And once you're seated, make sure that your feet are grounded and that they're underneath your knees. You can sit in a relaxed fashion, but try not to slump. Try to sit up tall and relaxed, and so that you give your breathing spaces some room. And then close your eyes. Draw your attention to your breath. You don't have to change anything about it, but do notice it. Notice if your breath feels fast or slow, if it feels shallow or deep. And maybe even notice if you can feel your breath more in your chest or more in your belly. Again, without feeling there's a right or a wrong, just noticing what is. Now we're going to practice some slow-based breath. We'll start with the count of 3 to breathe in and the count of 6 to breathe out. So empty out, breathe out, and then inhale for 1, 2, 3, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take a few natural rounds of breath. And then continue, and you can either stay with that 3, 6 count, or maybe you'd like to go up to 4, 8. See how that feels? So take a nice regular breath in, empty it out, and begin. I'm not going to count because we'll be on different counts, but slowly in, and twice as long to breathe out. Breathing through your nose as much as possible. Slowing down the rate of your breath out. Make your breath out twice as long as your breath in. And take one more round like that. And once you have finished with your out breath, then go ahead and open your eyes and peel your back away from the back of the chair if you're leaning back, sit up tall. And start to make some neck circles. Roll your head around. And go the other direction. Come right back up to center. Take a look to the right and a look to the left. And then a look to the ceiling and a look to the floor. Come back to center, shrug your shoulders up and let them go. And then start to roll your shoulders back, big circles. And roll them forward, big circles. And then add some wrist movement, circling out through the wrists. Go the other way. Lift your arms all the way up overhead. by your sides. Reach them forward and all the way up overhead. And down by your sides. And then press them back behind you as far as you can. And down by your sides. Hold the right side of your chair. Left arm reaches all the way up overhead. Tip over to the right. Relax both shoulders. Make sure you're not, especially not the right shoulder. Don't hunch it up by your ear. Let it be relaxed. Stretching out the left side of your waist. And come back up. Hold the left side of the chair. Bring your right arm all the way up and then tip over to the left. And come back up, release your arm. Once again, roll your shoulders back. Roll your shoulders forward. Hands in front of you, interlace your fingers, and then press your palms away from you. Straighten your arms, take a breath in, lift your arms up, and then as you breathe out, press your hands forward and curl your spine back. Again, lifting up, breathing in as you lift your arms overhead, breathing out as you press the hands forward and curl your spine back towards the back of the chair. One more time like that. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, curl. Release the hands, roll back up to sit tall. Turn your legs to the right. And then face your torso back towards the front of the chair again. Take your right hand outside your left leg and turn, a gentle twist in the spine. And then swing your legs back through center and over to the left. Left hand outside right leg, turn to face the front of the chair. And unwind back to center. Pick up your right leg with your hands underneath your knee, lift it up, and start to roll your ankle, little circles, and go the other direction. And then begin to circle your hip, so holding onto your leg and rolling your leg around in circles to move the hip joint and go the other direction. Go ahead and put that leg down. Let's pick up the left leg underneath your thigh, underneath your knee. Pick it up, roll your ankle. Go the other direction. And now the hip, rolling around. Getting that synovial fluid moving in that joint capsule. Go the other direction. It just makes it a lot more comfortable to move. And you lubricate the joints. Let it go. Hold on to your kneecaps and then swing your legs in and out. Okay. Come back to sitting up nice and tall. Sit fairly far back in your chair so that most of your thighs are on the seat, on the chair, but still sitting upright. So don't lean back into the back of the chair, sit up tall. You can hold the sides of the chair for support and draw your belly in gently so that it helps you to keep that upright, supported spine. Press your right knee straight so that your leg lifts up off the ground. Now, most of your thigh is going to be supported by the chair. So we're looking for a sensation of work in the top of the thigh, the quadriceps. And let it go. Once again, press your knee to straight, lifting your leg off the ground. And release. Again, press it out. And let it go. One more, press, release, other side, press out through the left foot, the knee straightens, and release. Press it straight out, release. As you press, you really want to think about pushing your heel forward as hard as you can. Last one, press it forward, and release it down. Now, sit further forward on your chair so that most of your thighs are off of the chair, and it's really just your hips, your buttocks, your tushy that is on the chair. Hold the chair for support, sit tall. Now, press your knee to straight, lift the leg out in front of you, and put it down. So now not only are we working the top of the thigh, the quadriceps, we're also working into the hip flexor muscles. Press it out. Release it down. 2 more. And push. And release. Last one. Push it out. Release. Make sure you're sitting up tall with that long extended spine. Press the left leg forward. Release. Lift and press. And release. Low belly is drawing in for some support. And release. And one more. And press it out. And release. Once again, hold your kneecaps. Swish your legs in and out. Give those hip flexors a little break. This invites them to sort of loosen up and relax. Once again, plant your feet underneath your knees. Sit tall. Most of the thigh is off the chair, just your hips on the chair. Now, extend your right leg out with the heel on the ground, so your leg is straight, but it's resting on the earth. Hug that belly in, sit tall. Try not to lean back. Try to keep your shoulders directly over your hips. Take a breath. Exhale, lift that straight leg up and put it down. So we're trying to keep the leg straight as we lift up in line with your other knee. Release it down. And lift shoulders right over your hips. Don't lean back. Put it down. Last one. Lift it up. Put it down. Bend your knee. Reorganize if you need to. Sitting tall. Extend the left leg. Your heel is on the ground. Your knee is straight. Belly hugging in, spine long. Lift that leg right up in line with your right knee. Lower it down. Lift it up. Try not to move your torso at all. Keep it right up over your hips and lift and release. This is the last one. Lift it up. Release. Bend your knee. Once again, let's do that little waggle side to side. Opening and closing at the hip joints. All right, now I'm going to take my socks off so I'm not going to slip on the wood floor. I would like you to keep, again, sitting fairly far forward on the chair, but instead of having your feet underneath your knees, I'd like them a little bit behind your knees, just a little bit in towards the chair so that your feet are slightly behind your knees. Hold the sides of the chair for support. Tip forward at the hips. Press really strongly through your feet. Try not to use your hands too much. Hover your seat off the chair. Just hover and then come back down. Lean forward. Push into your feet, especially your heels. Lift up and come back down. Now we're going to come up to stand, but we're going to pause in that hovering position for a moment. Tip forward, push into your heels, lift up, hover, and then press all the way up to stand. Okay. Come around to stand right in back of your chair. Hands on the back of the chair for some support. And then lift up to your tippy toes. Lift all the way up to your tip toes. Imagine your inner ankle bones squeezing towards each other. And then release back down, heels to the ground, nice and slow. Let's try to do this in a slow, controlled fashion. Pressing up to the tiptoes, inner ankles reaching towards each other, magnetizing to the midline, and then slow release down, heels to the ground. Again, lift up. Try not to let your ankles flop out left and right. And release down. Now, bend your knees so you're sitting in a little imaginary chair. Notice where your weight is falling. Try to have your weight not all forward in your toes, not all back in your heels, somewhere in between. And press up and stand tall. Once again, bend your knees, sitting into that little chair pose. Look at your knees for a moment and try to make the alignment of your knees face over the middle of your feet. So knees in line with your second and third toe on each foot. And then press up, stand tall. Once again, bend your knees, sitting into your imaginary chair. Now, lift your heels. Your knees stay bent, your heels lift. Now, stay up off of your heels on your tiptoes, straighten your legs, stand up tall, then release your heels to the ground. Lift up to your tiptoes, heels off the ground. Keep them up, bend your knees. Now place your heels on the ground and straighten your knees, stand tall. We're going to do that all again. Bend your knees, chair pose. Lift your heels, knees are bent. Straighten your knees, heels are lifted. Drop your heels. Lift your heels. Bend your knees. Drop your heels. Straighten your knees. Okay, now we're going to do that in reverse. So lift up to your tiptoes. Bend your knees. Drop your heels. Straighten your legs. Bend your knees, lift your heels. Straighten your knees, drop your heels. Take a breath. Now, step your feet wider than the chair and allow your toes to turn out left and right on a slight angle. Not all the way out 90 degrees, but a little angle, somewhere between probably 20 and 45 degrees, something like that. Bend your knees, and once again, take a look at your knees. If they're really dropping in towards your big toes, either use your outer hip muscles to pull your knees open, or maybe you need to adjust the position of your foot, maybe a little bit in, so that your knees, again, are lining up with the second and third toes of your feet. All right, now straighten your legs. Once again, bend your knees, make sure they're over the middle of the foot, hold here. Take a couple of breaths. And then straighten your legs. Now we're going to begin with those heel raises in this wide-legged position. So start to lift up off of your heels, coming onto your tiptoes. Imagine your inner ankle bones moving forward towards the chair so that you're not collapsing the outer ankle back behind you. Really important. It strengthens the muscles along the outside of your shin. It's really good for ankle stability. Release your heels to the ground. Once again, lift up. Think about your inner ankle bones moving towards the chair, your heels slightly moving towards the chair. Release down. Bend your knees. Lift your heels. Straighten your knees. Drop your heels. Lift your heels. Keep them lifted. Bend your knees. Drop your heels. And straighten your legs. We'll do it all again. Bend the knees. Then lift your heels. Then straighten your knees and drop your heels. Lift your heels. Bend your knees. Drop your heels and straighten your legs. Walk your legs back together. Pause and take a breath. And let it go. Okay. Come to stand on one side of your chair and press firmly through the leg that is not next to the chair. All right, so the leg next to the chair is gonna be the leg that lifts. All right, so you're pressing down, through the leg that's away from the chair. You can take one hand to your hip, one hand to your chair. Bend the knee that's next to the chair. Now do your best to draw the knee back so it's in line with the standing knee. In other words, in the front of the hip, try to have that flat with no crease at the front of the hip. Try to have the hip flat across the front. Squeeze your heel up towards your butt and release it down. Once again, bend your knee, lift the heel up. Try not to bend at the hip joint. Release it down. And one more time, bend your knee, lift your heel, release it down. Pause, take a break. Then press into the leg that is next to the chair. That's your new standing leg. Lift the other knee up in front of you. So you are flexing at the hip joint now. You're nice and deeply flexed at the hip. Push that heel out straight. The knee is straightening, and bend your knee. Push it out, bend it. Push your heel, bend your knee, and step down. Now we'll switch to the other side. So you'll begin with your standing leg being the leg that is not next to the chair. Then the knee that is next to the chair will bend and move back in line with your standing knee. Again, flat across the front of the hips. Both of the hips should be flat and not flexed, not bent at the hip joint, okay? So lift your heel towards your tush, squeeze, and release. And lift it up, heel towards butt, release it down. Again, squeeze it up, release it down. One more time, lift and lower. Stand well. Your standing leg is now the leg next to the chair. Lift the opposite knee up, flex at the hip. So you're lifting your knee up in front of you, and then push your foot forward. Straighten your knee, bend your knee. Push it out, bring it back twice more. Push, bring it back in, push it out, bring it in, and step it down. Give yourself a little wiggle and take a breath. Okay, now I'm going to turn my chair. You can come behind your chair. Step firmly into your right foot and extend your left leg behind you with the leg straight. So both legs are straight and be on the tiptoes of your left foot. So your toes are pointing to the ground and you're on your tippy toes. You're not even pressing onto the ball of the foot. Point your toes. Point your toes back behind you. Then with your toes pointed, lift your heel towards your butt and then point them back behind you. So now your hip is in extension. The leg is back behind you. Point your toes, lift your toes towards your tushy. Point your toes. Bend your knee, straighten your knee. Toes are pointed the whole time. Bend and straighten. Last one. Bend and straighten, step in. Now, soft knees, not a deep bend, just a tiny bend. Tip forward and give your hamstrings a stretch. So you're stretching out the back of the legs with a bend in your knees. You definitely want a little bend there as you tip forward. Come back up to stand. Press some weight into your left foot. Stretch your right leg back behind you. Point your toes. So you're on the tippy tip toes, not on the ball of the foot. Pointed toes. Both legs straight. Then lift your foot off the ground, toes pointing up towards your butt, and release down. Keep the toes pointing. Lift up, release. Squeeze your foot towards your tush, and let it go. 2 more times. Pointed toes the whole time. Lift and release. And last time, lift and release. Step down. Once again, tip forward. Bend your knees a little. Forward bend. We're stretching out the backs of your legs, the hamstrings. Press up, stand tall. Walk back away from the chair, 1 or 2 footprints. Bend your knees a little, and again, tip forward. Think about stretching your tush back behind you, lengthening the back of your legs. Press back up, walk in, stand tall, take a couple of breaths and relax. One more nice full breath in, complete breath out. Now press some weight into your right foot, step your left leg back, and this time be on the ball of the left foot. Your heel is lifted, but you're not pointing your toes now. You're on the ball of your foot. Now, both legs are straight. Bend both legs. Bend the knees of both legs. Bend and press up to straighten. Bend, press up to straight. One more time. Bend, press up to straight. Pause for a moment. Now, bend both knees, hold on with your right hand, and reach your left hand towards the ground. Doesn't have to touch down, just reach in that direction. If you're feeling confident, maybe you touch the ground and press back up. Step forward, relax. Shift some weight into your left foot and step your right leg back. Both legs are straight, and again, you're on the ball of the right foot. The heel is lifted. You're on the ball of the foot. Both legs are straight. Bend both knees and straighten your legs. And bend and straighten. Bend, straighten. Pause. Hold on with your left hand. Bend both knees. Reach your right hand towards the ground. It can hover, or maybe you touch your fingertips to the ground. Press back up, stand tall. Relax. Take a breath, let your legs relax. And then make your way back to sit in your chair. All right, sit tall. Waggle your knees left and right a little bit. Relax the thighs, relax the hip flexors. And then lift your right leg, cross your ankle above your knee. Sit tall. So even if your knee is up pretty high, that's okay. Sit up as tall as you can, and without forcing it, allow the knee to open out as far as it will. It might not be very far, and that's totally fine. And then lift it up, put it back on the ground, lift your left leg, ankle above knee. Again, sit up nice and tall. Allow the knee to open out and down as far as it will, without force, without pushing it. And let that go. Sit fairly far forward on your chair. Extend your right leg out. Hold on to the chair, or maybe you even take a hand to the top of your left thigh. Keep your spine as extended as you can and tip forward at the crease of your hips. So in other words, try not to round your back. Try to keep your spine extended and tip forward. You're stretching out the back of the right thigh. left leg, either both hands on the chair or your right hand on top of your right thigh. Tip forward at the hips, extended spine, stretching the back of the left leg. And come back up. Open your legs out left and right. Toes pointing out left and right. And then both hands to your knees, both arms straight. Drop your left shoulder in and down and gently press the left knee to the left. Come back to center. The right shoulder drops in and down. The right hand presses the right knee to the right. And come back to center. We'll do that again once on each side. So we're opening up the inner thigh and taking a gentle twist in the spine. And back to center and press. And back to center. Now take your right forearm on top of your right thigh and lift your left arm straight up to the ceiling. If this feels like a pretty good stretch for you, stay right there. If you don't feel much and you'd like to go a little deeper, you can take your hand down to the inside of your lower leg. Maybe you even grab towards your ankle. And then slide back up, come to center, pause for a breath. Left arm on left thigh, right arm straight up to the ceiling. Again, you can choose to stay right here or you can come a little deeper. It might be different on this side, right? So we'll see. Come down a little deeper if you'd like. Maybe your hand comes to your ankle, maybe not, maybe you stay up high. And come back up, draw your legs back together. Sit tall, take a breath. Let it go. Now, cross your right leg over your left leg and squeeze your shins towards each other. So you're trying to get the outer parts of your shins closer together. Then take your left hand to your outer right knee and turn your body, taking a gentle twist to the right. And come back to center, unwind the legs, and then cross left leg over right. Again, squeeze the shins together. Squeeze the outer parts of the shins closer together. Right hand outside left leg, and take your gentle twist over to the left. And make your way back to center. Unwind that. Hands to your knees. Press your arms straight and then draw your shoulder blades back and lift your chest. Your gaze might lift too. You're coming into a little back bend, backward bend. Come back to center. Keep your arms straight and push through your hands so that your spine rounds behind you. Drop your head. Belly is moving back towards the back of the chair. And come back up. Again, we're going to keep the arms straight. Pull on your knees with your hands to roll your shoulders back and lift your chest. And then push on your knees to round your spine behind you, drop your head. And come back to center. Turn your palms towards the ceiling, arms down by your sides. Inhale, sweep those arms up high overhead. Turn your palms out to face the ground. Exhale, press it down and away. Again, turn the palms out, breathe in, lift up. Turn the palms, press, and release. Now, arms come straight out in front of you, shoulder height. Inhale, lift the arms straight up overhead. Exhale, press your palms down, fingertips point to the ground. Inhale, arms all the way forward and up. Exhale, arms forward and down. Now, palms pressing back, facing behind you. As you breathe in, press your palms back behind you as far as you can. Exhale, hands come back towards the ground. Breathe in, press it back, lift up as far as you can, and release down. Last time, press it back, and release. Hands to your thighs, pause, let your shoulders relax, let your arms relax. And then lift your right arm up overhead. Drop your hand back towards the back of your neck or your shoulder blade. Lift your elbow towards the ceiling as much as possible. And then release. Left arm reaches up, hand drops back, elbow presses up. And release. Sit back in your chair. Again, relaxed, but without slumping. When you slump, you really cut off your ability to take a full breath. So make sure you stay spacious through the front of the body and the sides of the body, and also the back of the body. Close your eyes. And imagine that you're breathing spherically. So feeling the breath moving out in all directions at once. As you exhale, you could think about all of that gathering back into a point in the middle of your body. Every inhale expands out in every direction at once. And every exhale contracts to a point in the middle of your body. Keep that going. Three-dimensional breath. You're breathing front and back. Breathing left and right. Breathing up and down in all directions at once. Breathe through your nose as best you can. And breathe as slowly as you can. Slow down your breath in. Slow down your breath out. Keep breathing spherically. Nice slow breath in through the nose. Slow breath out through the nose. Now we're going to add slow-based breathing counts. So as you exhale, release the breath out, and then breathe in for 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3. Breathe out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathe in, 2, 3, and out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Continue. And as before, if 3 and 6 feels really easy, you might choose to extend the length of both counts, maintaining that ratio of 1 to 2. Half as long on the inhale as on the exhale. You choose the counts that work for you. Keep it going. Spherical breath, slow-based breath. Slowing down the exhale, relaxing, allowing the heart rate to slow, stimulating that rest and digest parasympathetic nervous system, relaxing that fight or flight response by conscious manipulation of the breath, conscious control. Keep it going. We're also, by practicing this slow-based breath, training our bodies to tolerate a little bit higher levels of CO2, carbon dioxide, which then in turn makes us more efficient at using oxygen. Slow it down. And then after your next out breath finishes, allow your breath to return to its natural rhythm. No more control, no more restraint. Allow your breath to reestablish its own natural pace. And then go ahead and float your eyes open. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. Feel that connection of fingertips to fingertips, palm to palm, and even the thumbs into the breastbone. And allow that centering feeling to give you a sensation of bringing your energy to your midline. And take one more breath. And then a little bow of your head. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you have a beautiful day and a beautiful weekend.